Okay, hi guys and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be doing a quick episode of wristwatch talk, and I'll do a wristwatch check before I get on with the actual show. I am indeed wearing my Seiko SKX. This is the Japanese version, and you're probably wondering why I've got it on the Jubilee bracelet. Well, there's actually quite a good reason, and I'll explain that in just a second. So, wristwatch check done. Let's get on with the show. Okay, welcome back guys. Now, to address the first point about why I'm wearing this on a Jubilee bracelet. I put it back on the Jubilee bracelet basically because when I first owned a Seiko SKX, I didn't know about Nato straps, I didn't know about changing the straps and all the rest of it. And I would wear it on the bracelet it came with. And I had no idea if it was a good or a bad bracelet. I didn't really know anything about wristwatches. But wearing it on the Jubilee bracelet, no matter how terrible it may be as a bracelet, it gives me this kind of Proustian trigger of memories of when I first got the SKX and how I felt. And it's so strange that this cheap little bracelet, which, you know, I fully admit is one of the major downsides of the SKX. You know, but thankfully you can put a NATO strap on it. Wearing it just reminds me of those times, like a true Proustian moment. It's so indicative of when I used to wear the watch as a teenager when I had my first SKX. And it's so strange because of this nasty little cheap little bracelet. The clasp is actually not too bad, but it has hollow end links. It's quite cheaply made, and memories it triggers and the feel of it all comes back. Just a true Proustian moment there, and I just thought I'd share that on the show. I don't know if that's the same with you guys. Perhaps you guys have a similar thing with certain watches, but I don't know if watches for you trigger the same kind of memories they do for me. But it certainly has brought some of that magic back from my teenage years. Anyway, so let's get on with the actual show. Recently there was the wind up event here in New York City. Unfortunately I could not make it. I had so much work that weekend, and on top of it all my spare time I spent looking after my wife that had flu on that weekend, it wasn't the best weekend. And anyway, a lot of my friends went. They were able to fill me in on anything that I missed, and of course some of the other channels, especially CG, and I think KDP as well went. CG's coverage was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it, check her channel out. CG, if you're watching this, please comment down below with a link so people can check out your videos. You did sterling work, absolutely fantastic, best coverage of a watch event I've ever seen, to be honest. And better than ever I could do. I don't know how you have the patience. I really don't. All the brands she looked at, one thing that she highlighted that I thought was absolutely fantastic was the Oris Aquis adapter for a NATO strap. Now, those of you who've been following the show would have undoubtedly seen that I sold my Aquis, and I regret it immensely, but it just wasn't getting worn. You have the option of the bracelet, stainless steel bracelet, or the rubber strap. Personally, I love the rubber strap more. It's one of the best rubber straps I've ever seen on a watch. But after a while, you know, I'm a NATO guy, excluding today's nostalgic exception. Generally, I'm a NATO strap guy, and what really kind of not broke my heart, but was a shame about the Aquis is its inability to be able to attach a NATO strap. So, with this new adapter, and I'll share a picture on the screen, we are now able to attach a Nato strap to the Aquis, and it really begs the question: would I rebuy, or would I have sold the Aquis had I known this? I think definitely I would have kept it. And it's of course typical. As soon as I sell it, they make this announcement. I mean, typical of my life. Oh well, you know. Then I have to ask myself, would I rebuy the Aquis? And I think I definitely would. I really hope Oris make this available, a stainless steel version available for the general public, because I know for one I'd buy back the Aquis in a heartbeat. Now then there comes the second predicament. As you guys know, I prefer the 40mm version. I love the 43, but it's just simply too big for me. Would they be releasing it just for the 43 version, or are they going to release an adapter for both versions? I will tell you this now, guys. If they release an adapter for the 40mm version, I will buy back the Aquis in a heartbeat. Like that. Oh, I should be careful clicking my fingers. I don't want to change perspectives. But anyway, will it be worth it to revisit that just because of the Nato strap? Or do you think I'm making a mistake? I'd really like to hear your input on that. Okay, so that's a little bit of kind of horological news regarding the Auris Aquis. Right, moving on to watch terms that I regularly use on the show. Today I'm going to discuss two more terms: the Grail Watch, the Betta Watch, and then I'm going to introduce a third term which I haven't used. I've used kind of in comments here and there. I want to introduce to the viewers as well. So this is a follow-up. This is part 2. If you guys missed part 1, and if you're new to the channel, I really suggest you watch part 1. We covered Schwarzkopfing, morphine shopping, the wild card watch, and my phrase pure class. So today we're going to talk about Grail watches, Betta watches, and then I'm going to introduce a third term. So the Grail watch, what is a Grail watch? Well, a Grail watch is our kind of dream watch that we aspire to save for. So for example, as a child, my Grail watch was always the Rolex Submariner. I got it for my 30th birthday, and that's the thing, when you get your Grail watch, it's up to you. You can either stop, or what I like to do is I then set a new Grail watch, which is, I still haven't really decided yet, but it's going to be a horology piece, I think, for my late 40s. So, you know, I've got plenty of time. I'm not in a rush to define exactly what model. You know, I want to share the journey. So that is a Grail watch. It's a quest. It's a goal that we set, and then we save up for, we work towards, and it's a really cool thing to have because it will complete the collection, and it's a goal. It's something to work towards, and I think it's really enjoyable discussing what Grail watches people have, and you know, what you can really tell a lot by people's taste. And it's just a term that it was by no means defined or started on this channel. It was going about in the watch community for many years before I even started getting in front of the camera. So it's by no means my invention. Quite intrinsic to our shared obsession. Anyway, so that is the Grail watch, and newcomers now, when I mention a Grail watch, now you know what precisely I mean by that. A Grail watch isn't defined by price or anything like that. Your Grail watch could be the SKX. Perfectly fine. It's totally up to you to interpret and to decide what is suitable for you. Okay, so the next term I want to discuss is the Betta watch. Now, this again is a term that was in existence way before I got in front of the camera. But for my newcomers, I just want to kind of define a Betta watch. For me, the SKX is an ideal Betta watch because it's relatively affordable, very robust. It can take a serious beating. And you know, the clue is in the word, a Betta watch. It takes a beating. Another Betta watch favorite is, of course, the G-Shock. And G-Shocks are great because, like this one, this has a built-in barometer, an altimeter, world time, you know, alarms, all the rest of it. I can actually predict the weather with this thing, which is fantastic. So, and you know, it's pretty indestructible, and that's what you really want for a Betta watch. Now, I do have friends of mine. I have one friend of mine whose Betta watch is a Rolex Submariner. Personally, I would never do that because I'm far too frugal with my money, and also I'd be such a beautiful watch, I wouldn't want to damage it. But actually, in a certain way, the Submariner is a true Betta watch, because that's what it was intended as originally, a tool watch, a diving tool watch. So it's quite interesting. Again, it's up to your interpretation. If you're filthy rich and you can afford to have a Submariner as a Betta watch, then that's absolutely fine. But for most people, I think the Betta watches of choice is Seiko SKX or a G-Shock, and you know, these are fantastic. And when do you use a Betta watch? Well, you use a Betta watch when you go running, jogging. You want to time I use the bezel on this for timing my jogging, or the stopwatch on this. This is fantastic because if you're going camping or outdoors, you can actually, it's like carrying a little weather center around with you. The little graph here actually gives you barometer readings, and so if you were going camping or doing outdoor stuff, this is really useful. Even actually if you were sailing or something, this could come in really useful. So a Betta watch really is something that is built for an active lifestyle. And I know other friends of mine who don't have a Betta. They just don't believe in it because they don't, well, they're not into exercise, they're not into outdoor stuff, and they just have dress watches. You don't have to have a Betta watch, and you don't have to have a Grail watch either. So it's completely up to your interpretation. There's no rules that are set in stone. But unlike the Grail watch, I will say this: I think, you know, with the exceptions, unless your lifestyle doesn't demand it, like my friend who has the dress watches only, I would say that a Betta watch is kind of needed in most people's collection. I mean, it's a rare exception that you're not going to do any kind of physical activity, because to be honest, there are more times that I go to my Betta watch than I go to my dress watches. So it becomes really useful if you're doing DIY, you're doing your sports activity, if you're doing kind of outdoor orienteering or hiking or something like that. I really do find the Betta watch is necessary in the collection, because at some point in our lives we're going to do some kind of, you know, strenuous exercise that you don't really want to wear your subby or your Speedmaster that is, you know, more susceptible to damage. So I do feel, this is my personal opinion, of course, you know, when we did the reverse wristwatch check, that's another term we defined in the previous episode. I did the wristwatch check and the reverse wristwatch check. When I did the first reverse wristwatch check, a couple of episodes of Wristwatch Talk back, it was fascinating to hear what you guys were wearing on your wrist. It was really insightful, and it was just amazing, such a dynamic, diverse range, really eclectic. We had everything from super high end to you know, every Seiko you can name under the sun. It was really fantastic, and that actually helps me understand more what brands and what watches I should share with you more. So please share your Betta watch and share your Grail watch. I'm dying to hear both of those. Really like to hear what your choices are. Okay, now here comes the third term. Now I'm in a kind of quandary. I'm not sure if it's a good term, but I have found it creeps up on me a few times, and that is a watch crush. Now, the watch crush is a kind of temporary obsessive phase that we go through, lusting after a watch, and then we kind of fall out of. And there is certain watches that I've been obsessed about for months even, and then suddenly I either get the piece, a bit like the Rolex, the ceramic Rolex GMT Master 2 that I got. I was obsessed with that for months. I got the watch, it didn't click. Now some people adore that watch, and I can perfectly understand why, but for me, it didn't click. That was a watch crush. It was infatuation. It wasn't true love. What we're looking for really is true love. For example, I think it's pretty clear to me that the Seiko SKX, with all its faults, is true love. Same can be said about the Submariner. I'm never gonna let that one go. I mean, obviously it has its sentimental value on top of things, but the Speedmaster's, my Submariner, even my little Seiko SNA, the little Flightmaster, the Flighty. For me, that is true love, true enduring love, and that's what you kind of want to aim for. You want to figure out. The trick is figuring out what is just a temporary crush, and what is actually genuine, real love. And a good example is my Squale 1521 in blue. It took a divorce to figure out, if we're using the analogy of love and marriage and crushes and all that. I sold it, I regretted it immensely. I bought the Omega Seamaster coaxial thinking that would fill the void, and actually I like this more. I know it sounds ridiculous, this is only a fraction of the price, but this was true love, and I didn't know it was, you know. So I want to hear what you have a kind of watch crush about right now. Are you obsessing over any kind of watches? Is it a good term? Does it work? I can't think of any other way of describing it. I mean, maybe it's because I'm Italian and I tend to romanticize these things, but it is a thing about love and hate, and if we're stripping passion right down to its bare essentials, it is about a love for these things, you know. I realize now that the Rise Man was actually my true love. It was the one I was supposed to be with, you know. And thank you again, Jack, 1979, for reuniting me with this lost love. So for me it's a pretty good metaphor, and I think it works. But the trick is distinguishing between what is true love and what is just a watch crush. So guys, I really want to hear your 3 interpretations of these terms. So what is your Betta watch? Please comment down below. What is your Betta watch? What is your Grail watch? And your current watch crush? I really want to hear those things, because actually it helps me understand what brands I should approach to review, because now I'm starting to get a little, you know, I'm starting to make connections, and I have access to a lot of more brands now. So by sharing this, it enables me to gauge more what brands, what models I should get in to share and review on the channel. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I'll definitely catch you in the next one. Okay guys, ciao.